Well, great to be back on pitch side, and there's plenty to look forward to in today's play because, like I said, match is evenly poised. Pakistan have lost 3 wickets. They bowled really well yesterday, but Jamie Smith, his innings was the standout, and he kind of demonstrated how to bat in these conditions. I've got with me Michael Atherton as well as Rooj Mumtaz. Athers, I don't know which team would be the happier one yesterday, but one thing is for sure, that Jamie Smith was the standout performer, sort of demonstrating to everybody how to bat in this pitch. No real demons, but the signs are encouraging because they managed to get 3 wickets of Pakistan at the end of the day's play.
Yeah, I thought that innings and the partnership with Gus Atkinson in the afternoon, which was worth 105, just put England in an advantageous position, particularly with the 3 wickets that were taken late in the day. So, as you say, it was a hard-fought, fairly even day, but England just pushing their noses in front. And that innings from Jamie Smith was outstanding in 2 respects, really. England were in trouble. They were 98 for 5, then 118 for 6. But he quickly worked out how to play in the conditions. And England had looked to sweep in Multan in that second Test match on a quite a viciously spinning pitch. But here, with the low bounce, it's a much more difficult surface to sweep on, and Jamie Smith recognised that, and then he decided to put away the sweep shot and basically hit as much as he could down the ground with a straight bat. That's the way to play on this surface, because if you sweep from straight and miss, it ain't going to be going over the top. So Smith sized up the conditions pretty quickly. He brought some clarity and a good strategy to bear in a difficult situation, and his innings and that partnership, I thought, just gave the day to England.
Absolutely, and I guess, Rooj, when you talk about Pakistan batting, they can take a leaf out of Jamie Smith's batting as well, because like Athers mentioned, before lunch you saw a different strategy. England was trying to sweep the ball, but after lunch it seems like they revised their plans, and that's something that Pakistan can learn from as well. They lost 3 wickets, but it's not an improbable pitch to bat on.
I mean, the entire question after that first session was, everybody was talking about, you need to figure out a method or an approach that works. Yes, stay true to your game, but also understand the challenge that the surface is presenting, and hence why the sweep shots was put away. What works in Pakistan's favour is they're not a side that will push for 5 or 6 runs and over. Given the lack of pace and the lack of bounce, it actually suits the template and the tempo that they play with. And like you said, they can just pull a leaf out of Jamie Smith's book and just look to play straight, which does obviously poses challenges when the slow bowlers are on, because you don't want to be pushing at the ball in front of you, but it is the best place to score, and it is the most lucrative. And once you put the grind in, even when the big shots, again for Jamie Smith, even when he brought out the big shots, it was in the V or the wider V. He still didn't look to go square. In fact, the wicket came when the field was pushed slightly straighter, and he decided to go square sweeping, and then that's where he lost his wicket. So I think for Pakistan, they just need to look at that and stay true to what their strengths are, which actually plays in their favour given the nature of the surface.
Let's not forget the contribution of Gus Atkinson, because he was on the other end. He was brought in as a replacement for Potts and Cast, and then the kind of innings that we saw from him definitely seemed to show a lot of maturity.
Yeah, we saw it last summer. He had an outstanding start to his Test career, both with the ball but also with the bat. He got 100 at Lords, which was way beyond his own expectations, but showed that he's a serious talent with the bat. And he, a bit like Jamie Smith, he took the lead from Jamie Smith and decided to play down the ground. And it was really the point at which Zahid Mahmood came on, the leg spinner. Up to that point, Sajid and Noman Ali had bowled 44 overs unchanged. I think about the 44th over was when the change was made. And that was the point that Gus Atkinson thought, right, we can start to apply a bit of pressure back on Pakistan. He hit Zahid for 3 fours in 1 over, all straight down the ground. So he played his part, and then he got a very important wicket late last evening. Cameron Ghulam, who obviously played brilliantly in that second Test match, got one that scuttled through his defences. So don't forget the seamers on this pitch. Because of that low bounce, you can be effective as a seamer if you hit the pitch hard, as Atkinson does.
Pakistan then losing Abdullah Shafiq early once again. He's been struggling with his form recently, Rooj. Of course, he scored that 100, but overall, if you look at his the last year, how it's gone for him, very obviously low in confidence.
Yeah, and it doesn't help, because if you string a sort of succession of low scores, it doesn't help. At the top of the order, they obviously want partnerships. And there's been questions around the angle that his bat comes at, so that's been something that maybe he can look at. But it's about a confidence. Yes, we know he's got the talent, he's amassed a lot of runs, but every time there's a bit of a challenge in the surface, he seems to struggle slightly. So that's something that he can look at. And everyone's obviously had their share of pitches. It's an interesting one because they're trying to figure out some spot in there, Athos.
Well, I think it looks a pretty good pitch.
Yeah.
You know, if you took away the context of how this pitch was prepared, you know, all the heaters and the fans and the scratching or whatever, and you just looked at it in front of you, you'd say it looks a pretty good surface. But what we saw yesterday is obviously it's a slow, low turner. There is some spin there from the outset. The very first ball of the game spun down the leg side for Sajid. And then a couple of balls that kept very low. The one that Ben Duckett got really scuttled through and hit him. He's only about, he's over Aruji's height, about 5'1", but it still hit him on his bootlaces, so it was unplayable. But that's only the odd ball. So I still think there are runs to be had out there, providing you play in the right way.
Absolutely, but if there's one thing that works in England's favour is that Pakistan will be batting last on this pitch. More on the pitch after this break. Back on pitch side, and day 2 is traditionally considered the best for batting in Rawalpindi Cricket Stadium. We also saw Brendan McCullum having a closer look at that pitch. Ramiz Raja was also out there having a look at it. Let's hear from him.
Numbers suggest that day 2 is generally good for batting here in Rawalpindi. But this is a different surface. We know that how much of an effort has gone through to keep it parched. Well, because there is no grass on top and there is no moisture underneath, the top is going to be a little crumbly and powdery. But even today, on appearance, it doesn't look that bad. There are few cracks here and there. The plates actually are not really shifting, they're not really moving. But from batting perspective, what you need to do is to be more on the front foot. The low bounce will be more pronounced, so you've got to look out for that low bounce. The degree of spin will be just a little bit more as well, so you've got to make account for that. But overall, if you apply your faculties, make sure that you're brave enough to play with a defensive ploy and be on that front foot more than on the back foot, you can survive it. From bowling perspective, you don't have to really bowl magical deliveries because the pitch will take care of the magic. All you have to do is to be decent with your line and direction and be persistent. Perseverance commands success, as they say.
Just reiteration then, Athos, that if you do apply yourself in these conditions, then you can score runs, and this is exactly what we saw yesterday.
Yeah, I thought England were a bit slow to adapt in the morning, particularly the wickets of Brook and Pope, who were both out sweeping to straight balls. But then, as we saw in the afternoon, Jamie Smith and Gus Atkinson playing down the ground. So Ramiz is absolutely right. Think forward, not back in defence. And when you're attacking, think down the ground, not square of the wicket. And if you keep those two things in mind, you should have a chance of scoring runs on this surface. There might be a ball with your name on it, your number on it, but I think there are runs to be had.
Pakistan take heart from the fact that they have one of the best players of spin out there in the form of Saud Shakil, who scored a lot of runs against spinners. So if he gets going, then obviously they can hope to get some kind of a lead then.
I think not just Saud, even Rizwan to follow and Salman Ali Agha has been prolific, especially towards that latter middle order part. And all of them play spin really well in contrast to pace. So this will suit them, the way they play. I think Shan still out there also likes to get onto the front foot, dance down the track, but Saud Shakil has been the mainstay of that middle order, scored a lot of runs along with Rizwan. So I think there's a lot of positives that go into Pakistan's favour. And like Athos said before, and Ramiz also said, still by no means is it a minefield. They still got runs. Yes, the odd one might roll and have your name on it, like Athos said, but it's still by and large a very good surface.
How important do you think England's seamers are going to be playing that role today? Because they have been effective. We saw that in the last test match as well. Bryden Cast really running in and putting in his 100%.
Yeah, don't forget the seamers. The one thing to negate the seamers is the lack of abrasiveness around the pitch. So the outfield and the square is very lush, so there'll be very little reverse swing. And so I don't see Ben Stokes doing a lot of bowling. He likes to bring himself on when the old ball is reversing, but there may not be that. But for Atkinson, he's going to come in and hit the pitch hard and try and get that ball scuttling through. So he's going to be a threat and not to be ignored.
Absolutely. That, like we said, there's plenty to look forward to in today's play because you just never know which team is going to be coming out on top at the end of the day's play. We'll take a short breather, and when we come back, we'll hear from one of the players. Back on pitch side, we were talking about the conditions and how it's not impossible to be batting out here. Mohammad Rizwan also caught up with Bazid Khan and spoke about how he feels the pitch fared yesterday.
रिजवान साहब का यही सवाल है, लेकिन आपसे मैं पूछता हूँ कि आपके हिसाब से कल पिच कैसा खेली?
बजीद भाई मेरे ख्याल से अगर ऑनेस्टली कहा जाए कि अगर अर्ली ऑन देखा जाए इतना, क्योंकि आप स्मिथ की बैटिंग देख लेना, वो बिल्कुल आके बिल्कुल प्रॉपर खेला है, तो सारी चीज़ उसके कंट्रोल में थी। मेरे ख्याल से जो एक सर्टन टाइम था हमने प्रेशर डेवलप किया उन पे, जिसकी वजह से वो अपनी स्वीप्स और चीज़ों पे आए। जो उनका गेम है बहरहाल कभी सक्सेस होता है कभी नहीं होता, मगर हमें उस टाइम लग रहा था अगर वो प्रॉपर खेलते तो शायद ये लंबा जा सकते थे।
आपने प्रॉपर की बात की, तो आज तो बैटिंग है, तो शायद यही फिर पाकिस्तान का प्लान होगा कि प्रॉपर बैटिंग की जाए इस पे।
बजीद भाई बिल्कुल, आप जब भी आपसे पहली कोई इनिंग्स खेलता है तो आप इसे कुछ सीखते हैं। अगर हम उसकी बैटिंग देख ले, ये जेमी स्मिथ जो जिस तरह अर्ली ऑन आके बिल्कुल प्रॉपर खेला है, उसके बाद उसने चार्ज किया, मोमेंटम पकड़ा, फिर उसमें गया है, तो हमारी भी कोशिश यही है कि हमारे पास अगर मोमेंटम आएगा तो हम अपनी इसी गेम पे चले जाएंगे। मगर उससे पहले हमारे पास ये एक क्लू है कि जिस तरह प्रॉपर गेम हो गया इस पे से वो बेहतर है, क्योंकि रात को जब शान और वो भी आ गए, मसूद ने भी यही जो है ना दिया है कि मैसेज के पीछे अगर हम प्रॉपर खेलेंगे तो थोड़ा सा बेहतर खेल रही है।
एक सवाल ये भी है कि जैसे जैसे बॉल थोड़ा पुराना होता है तो शायद स्पिनर्स का भी बॉल उतना तेज़ी से नहीं निकल रहा है, उतना तेज़ स्पिन नहीं हो रहा, ये बात ठीक है? आपको लगा ऐसे?
नहीं भाई, मेरे ख्याल से ये थोड़ा सा समझ में इसलिए बाहर है कि अप एंड डाउन हो रहा था थोड़ा सा, क्योंकि नए बॉल्स पे थोड़ा सा स्किट कर रहा था, जो ऊपर नीचे हो रहा था वो थोड़ा सा मुश्किल कर रहा था। स्पिन बाद में भी साजिद का हुआ है, जायद का भी बाद में हुआ है, तो वो तो सेट हो गए थे, इसलिए थोड़ा सा वो प्रॉपर लग रहा था कि यार बॉल पुराना हो गया। मगर मेरे ख्याल से ये नहीं था कि स्पिन और उसमें कमी आएगी, मगर अप एंड डाउन हो रहा था, इसलिए थोड़ी सी उसकी मुश्किल पड़ रही थी उनमें।
चलें, थैंक यू वेरी मच एंड गुड लक।
थैंक यू।
Well, Mohammad Rizwan, just talking about the fact that Shan Masood coming back into that dressing room and saying that, it's not that hard to bat out there if you apply yourself. So that's giving them some kind of a confidence. And of course, Rizwan himself is a decent player of spin.
Yeah, and obviously he referred to Jamie Smith as well, that he played straight and they did stick to their natural game, which was playing the horizontal bat shot earlier. But then everybody's come back and reiterated the same message, which just then again will provide a little bit more confidence to that Pakistan dugout, even when Shan and Saud do come out. He did, however, mention one thing, that the variable bounce with the new ball, because it was skidding, was probably the most difficult part for the spinners to pick up. So that period is now gone. Obviously, the ball is slightly older now. But I still feel the pace, like Athas mentioned, might be how and when Ben Stokes uses Gus Atkinson.
First session is going to be key for both the sides then, Athas.
Absolutely, yeah. Pakistan, 73 for 3. Two good players of spinning. And they need to get up to England. If they allow England to get a first innings lead, they've obviously got the disadvantage of batting last on the fourth innings. So Pakistan's first innings, absolutely vital. They need to be up or thereabouts, maybe even get beyond England if they can, to apply some pressure on third innings.
Like you rightly pointed out, it's going to be an important first session for both the sides. So plenty to look forward to in today's play. We're going to take a short break. And when we do come back, we'll be back with all the live pictures. So don't go anywhere.